Hi, my name is Ron. I'm the owner of Independence Vapors. So what is the truth about vaporization technology? Well, first, what I'd like to do is talk about what happens when things burn. What is smoke? Now, combustion is when you burn organic material, and when you burn something, light and heat are given off, but it also gives off, in many cases, toxic smoke. For example, your car. When you drive a car, you are burning oil. The oil gives off heat and energy, which drives the vehicle, but it also gives off a toxic and poisonous gas, like carbon monoxide. There's also an interesting study that came out of China in December of 2015. They looked at incense burning of incense sticks, and they found that the burning of incense sticks actually gives off a smoke that in some cases is as toxic as cigarette smoke. So let's look at tobacco smoke in general, because I want to kind of put a baseline out there as we look at vaporization technology. I think it's a mistake to overlook the highly toxic nature of cigarette smoke. Now, when you burn any organic material, what happens is you give off a host of toxic byproducts. Asphyxiants such as carbon monoxide, irritants such as hydrogen chloride and formaldehyde and acrolein, and carcinogens such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and nitrosamines. There was a study done at the University of California, Davis in July of 2005 called Determination of Toxic Carbonyl Compounds in Cigarette Smoke. What the researcher found is that there is a host of toxic byproducts to cigarette smoke, including acetaldehyde, diacetyl, acrolein, formaldehyde, propanol, malonaldehyde, and methoglyoxal. The researcher found that cigarette smoking is associated with a wide variety of diseases, including cancer, atherosclerosis, and pulmonary disease. In addition to the many toxic chemicals, including polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, nitrosamines, reactive carbonyl compounds, and dioxins, it makes cigarette smoke highly toxic. He found that tobacco smoke is one of the major sources of toxic aldehyde contamination in indoor air, and that the formaldehyde present in side stream cigarette smoke, in other words, secondhand smoke, means considerable exposure for the non-smoker through passive smoking. So cigarette smoke is highly toxic. Now, people don't smoke for the smoke. They don't use tobacco for the smoke. They use it for the nicotine. So let's talk a little bit about nicotine. Nicotine is not carcinogenic. In fact, nicotine patches and gums are approved by the U.S. government and sold over the counter. In fact, nicotine gum is seen as so harmless that here is a picture that I took in the CVS pharmacy down the street from my house. And it shows fruit-flavored nicotine gum that is sold next to the regular gum and candy at the front register in the store. There was a study from Norway in 1996 called The Long-Term Effects of Inhaled Nicotine. And these researchers at the Department of Medicine in Trondheim, Norway, did a very extreme study to show the effect of nicotine on the body, of inhaled nicotine on the body. Just nicotine, not smoke. What they did was that rats were put into a chamber with nicotine at a concentration giving twice the plasma concentration found in heavy smokers. Nicotine was given for 20 hours a day, 5 days a week during a 2-year period. In that, they could not find any mortality or atherosclerosis or frequency of tumors in these rats as compared to the controls. Particularly, there was no microscopic or macroscopic lung tumors, nor any increase in pulmonary neuroendocrine cells. In conclusion, our study does not indicate any harmful effects of nicotine when given in its pure form by inhalation. So the issue with tobacco is not the nicotine. The issue with the tobacco is the smoke. And what vaporization technology does is that it heats the material without combustion. The idea is to release active ingredients without burning the organic material. For example, let me show you a couple different products. This is a vaporizer pen, and what happens is you have a battery and a tank, and they come apart. and the batteries are chargeable and the tank is refillable. What you fill the tank with is liquid. The liquid looks like this or this. The liquid is a glycerin suspension that contains flavoring and liquid nicotine. What happens with the vaporizer is that it heats the liquid into a vapor, but if it's used properly, there should be no combustion. So all of the toxicity of burning organic material is not in evidence with using a vaporizer. This is another type of vaporizer. This is a more advanced one. You can see this is like a pen style. This is called a box mod style vaporizer. You can see this one has a digital screen on it, so you can vary the power coming out, and the user can customize how much vapor is released by the device. There's another style of vaporizer that uses actual dry leaf. This is a vaporizer called the Vaping Summit. What happens with this vaporizer is that you have a heating chamber at the bottom, and what you can put is dry leaf material in there. It will heat it, releasing the active ingredients without combustion, because the idea of vaporization is that you don't want to burn anything. This is another product that does dry leaf vaporization. This is called the Magic Flight Launch Box. It's kind of a funny name, but it is handmade in San Diego, California. And what happens with this little box is that you put ground up material, dry leaf material in there. It will heat it, releasing the active ingredients, again, without any combustion. These products are really, really good because they don't combust the material. All of the tar, all of the toxins, all of the resin and that type of thing that's created and it gets into your lungs from burning organic material is not produced with vaporization technology. So as the saying goes, where there's smoke, there's fire. But where there's no fire, there should be no smoke. And vaporizers or electronic cigarettes do not produce any secondhand smoke because there's no smoke at all produced. A study in August of 2013 by Dr. Igor Burstin at the Department of Environmental and Occupational Health in the School of Public Health at Drexel University found that there was no secondhand exposure to vaping or vaporizers at all. The study is called Peering Through the Mist. What does the chemistry of contaminants in electronic cigarettes tell us about health risks? The doctors summarized that an analysis of current state of knowledge about chemistry of liquids and aerosols associated with electronic cigarettes indicates there is no evidence that vaping produces inhalable exposures to contaminants of the aerosol that will warrant health concerns by the standards that are used to ensure safety of workplaces. Exposures of bystanders are likely to be orders of magnitude less and thus pose no apparent concern. And so the elimination of secondhand smoke is huge when it comes to looking at the importance of vaporization and the importance of, if you would like to call them, electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes. The truth is that these products have the potential to save lives. Are they completely risk-free? No, of course not. Nothing in life is completely risk-free. Driving a car is not risk-free. Eating fast food is not completely risk-free. But vaporizers are an important tool in the realm of harm reduction. The goal here is to reduce insult to the body, and that's exactly what vaporization does. So for a smoker who is wanting to, reduce their harm, this is a very, very important tool. There was a study in January of 2016 released by Konstantinos Farsalinos, who is a cardiologist out of Greece. It looked at blood pressure in smokers who then switch to either not using anything, who are able to quit entirely, and those who use electronic cigarettes and vaporization. And what he found was that smokers who reduce or quit smoking by switching to e-cigarettes may lower their systolic blood pressure in the long term. And this reduction is apparent in smokers with elevated blood pressure. The current study adds to the evidence that quitting smoking with the use of e-cigarettes does not lead to higher blood pressure values, and this is independently observed whether the e-cigarettes are regularly used or not. So even a smoker who quits but occasionally uses an e-cigarette, or smokers who stop and use e-cigarettes entirely, what the doctor found was that there was no increase in elevated blood pressure. In fact, their blood pressure went down when they were able to stop smoking. These products are intended to be used by adult smokers who wish to stop using combustible tobacco products and use a less harmful alternative. And when you look at the studies and you look at the information and you consider what the advantages of vaporization technology give people, I think you'll come to the conclusion that many people have come to, that these products are good and important and should be not ostracized, but instead should be supportive. The Attorney General of the state of Iowa, his name is Tom Miller, he issued a policy statement looking, and this was in December of 2015, looking at electronic cigarettes. What he said was, the harm of the combustible cigarette is dramatically greater than the harm of the e-cigarette. The combustible cigarette is by far the most harmful consumer product known to mankind, killing 480,000 people each year in the United States alone. This is largely due to the many deadly toxins created and released by the combustion. A panel of experts estimates that the e-cigarette is 95% less harmful. There's been an effort to say that combustible cigarettes and e-cigarettes are equally harmful, that their companies are equally evil, and they should be strongly regulated the same way. This view is incorrect. What he says is as many as 13 million adult smokers believe them to be equally harmful. They are unlikely to switch when switching may save their lives. Mitchell Zeller, the director of the Food and Drug Administration's Center for Tobacco Products, was speaking at a luncheon in Washington, D.C. in June of 2014. This was at the American Legacy Foundation, which is an anti-tobacco group. What he said at the luncheon was the following: it's not the nicotine that kills half of all long-term smokers. It's the delivery mechanism. We share the concerns about the marketing of e-cigarettes to kids. We share the concerns that flavors certainly look like they would be appealing to kids, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here. Tobacco use remains the leading cause of preventable death and disease, principally because of the ongoing use of products that burn tobacco. So the truth is that vaporization is many, many orders of magnitude safer than smoking. Vaping is not smoking, and anybody who says otherwise is probably promoting an agenda and not facts. Thank you.